Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever and wherever you all. Welcome back to the Beta Plan, playing Shadowrun. So, I always open up the screen, but the screen I really have to show you, of course, is this screen, because we did some shopping. We only have 562 Nugent left, but we have a new body armor, which gives us armor 3 instead of 1s, and it costs 450 Nugent. I think tripling our armor is quite a good thing to do. We got ourselves a mana ball. Armor piercing 2 costs us 2 AP to cast, but it gives us an AoE damage for Deathclaw, as well as a small flamethrower spell. Has no armor piercing, but it does some damage, whereas this does less damage, but it does armor piercing too, so, and the cooldown is lower on this one. So just a small little spell in order to, well, do some damage. This required already me to have at least 1 intelligence. You always have that, but that makes me assume that for higher stuff, well, we will need more intelligence. Also, this is the glasses that come with this outfit. I did not take any cybernetic wear. I'll show you that in a moment. I did buy some cram. This is my favorite cam because wow, plus 3 action points. Even if it is only for 1 round, that can make a huge difference. We did not upgrade our cyberware. The monofilament whip is not even yet available for us. The spurs are, but they do damage and strength plus 4, so 1 damage extra. Causes 1 bleeding damage, not 2. Does not do AP damage and pierces the same type amount of armor, 1. I have the feeling the Ares hand razors are better. All the other cybernetic wear, well, they were all basic wear, which means they cost a lot of essence. It goes from basic wear to alpha wear to all the way up to delta wear and whatever. That hasn't been ever done yet in one of these games. They always only went up to alpha wear. Having said that, all the upgrades, well, we A, don't have a lot of Nugent, and B, they were, well, kind of cost prohibitive, essence cost prohibitive. I don't want to mess around with that yet too much. We have to really make sure what we decide on. So, more or less, 1 cram, better armor, 2 new extra spells, and talking around with some people who were playing a game that they were also having a lot of bad dreams. Dreams that sometimes resembled what I was dreaming. Dark alleys with, well, one even said that the lady he saw looked like me with a dark shadow following me. In terror, another man walking into an alley where all of his friends and family were his loved ones, and as he passed them by they dropped like puppets. But he knew that if he continued down the alley, that he would get whatever he wanted. And another dream of a man, well, who more or less was facing his inner demons of his past, where he showed that all the things he had done wrong, he felt them all until he entered the Kowloon city, and he felt revived and once again happy. So apparently we are not the only ones having nightmares. But what we did now is we are in the ship. We are back in our own base, and this is supposedly, well, the Russian guy that is renting the engine space downstairs. And the fact that his name is Racter, well, that tells me that he will be joining our group one way or another. Because I know this is one of the companions, so I could not take out this dialogue. So let's talk with the guy. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic. Ionized air. Can you smell ionized air? And lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted this space into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and duroplast extruders line the wall, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hang from the ceiling. A man in the black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a study workbench. He addresses you with a turn. Ah, I was wondering when I would meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of Russian accent there, but it's buried under layers of nuances. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in a short moment. And unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manner of tools in here that could take your hand clean off. Chrome Alley being, well, you chroming up a little bit, which is what I tend to do because, well, I have a cybernetic implant. But anyways, I know how to handle myself in a shop. I'll be fine. Perhaps I should mention that I also have a heavily militarized, semi-autonomous drone prowling the shop. Please, keep your hands to yourself. As I said, I won't be a moment. Let's see what's on the screen. The feed on the monitor looks like some sort of design software. You can see what appears to be a slim, spidery appendage in orthographic and perspective views. Very good. Yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to have to kept you waiting, Ms. Liangu. Quinn Liangu. Good to meet you. And to you as well. Now tell me, what can I do for... His voice trails off as a flash of motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs in a clear sign of aggression. The man's smile tilts, and his tone goes apologetic. Please, don't mind the drone. He can be territorial. But as long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes in a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Racter. My mechanical counterpart here is called Koshai. Shake his hand. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Hioi, it's important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. He glances at the bracelet on his forearm. A technical display winks to life, then gathers out. Very well. The morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes yet. That's time enough to talk. Oh, I'll show, by the way, for anyone who's interested, what I did with the team. I forgot the upgrades on the team. So, Koshai is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose that it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possession after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. I'm glad actually I don't have academic, because I don't know the story. What's the fairy tale about? A thoroughly unpleasant person. Koshai the Deathless, he was called, and for good reason. His soul was cleverly hidden outside of his body, and he could not be killed so long as it remained intact. Koshai was a villain, and a notorious kidnapper of women. But something about him always stuck with me. I suppose that it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated. There was something to be learned from that, I was sure. And so, when it came time to name my beloved creation, his name was the first name that came to mind. And is your drone deathless, like its namesake? In a matter of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core program is stored on a disk in a secret location. Should he suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once, to automate the self-repair process. I must confess, it was really quite ingenious, but alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Koshai will become as deathless as the stories claim. But it will not be today. When you said the morning castings, what do you mean? Exactly as I said. A casting that I made of a new motive assembly for Koshai. He just at the display above the work table. A biomimetic design, as you can see. This one inspired by the walking legs of a decapod crustacean. The mangrove crab, to be specific. That's fascinating, and this new leg assembly will make your drone more effective? That remains to be seen, but there is more to life than combat effectiveness, is there not? By fabricating new components for Koshai, I unlock options, different ways of being, even the failures, and there have been many, have value in this context. How did you learn to do all this? More training and experience than I care to mention. He offers you a wry smile. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now it's more of a calling. One that I am free to pursue, now that freed myself from the circles of corporate servitude. Are you Russian? I thought I caught a hint of accent there. No, I'm laying it a little bit too thick on it, but I have too many NPCs already to voice. He nods. You have a good ear. I am impressed. Yes, I grew up in Nizhny Novgorod. In Nizhny Novgorod. Went to school there, started my career there in an industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. But I have also traveled a great deal, and in so doing, I have absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. How many languages do you speak? Counting Russian and Cantonese? 15. He shrugs apologetic. It shames me to admit that I am only literate in 12, however. That's still very impressive. Wow, I mean, I thought I spoke a lot, but I speak 5 or something? 6? And some of them roughly. You're either way too hard on yourself or acting ashamed to cover up the fact that you're bragging. His brow furrows. Koshai takes a step forward. I assure you, I'm not bragging. In truth, I never much cared what anyone else thought of my abilities or accomplishments. I am quite self-sufficient in that regard. If I tell you that I feel ashamed, it is because I do. When knowledge eludes me, I take it poorly. His shoulders relax, and Koshai adopts the same posture. The curse of perfectionism, I suppose. Ah, yes, that I kinda know a little bit. You get some interesting machinery in here, not the kind that you typically see outside the corporate settings. He smiles. The same could be said of many in Hayoe, I am sure. This is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you out of curiosity? Oh, the robotic arm you've got over there. They look like something taken from an automotive assembly plant. His smile flashes brilliant in the light. Good guess. That's precisely what they are. They love a boat, you might say. They weren't cheap, but I acquired them and have them mounted to the walls of my shop. I simply have to have them. The return on investment has been dramatic. Yes, they are cruder by far than the Waldo devices that I used in my professional life, but they still do the job. And they are mine. He gazes lovingly at the industrial arms, still smiling. They have increased my fabrication capabilities nearly a tenfold. And that is, to me, is worth any price. You said you have worked for a corp. Whose payroll were you on? He sighs. That is something of a sore subject. My departure was involuntary, you see. I did not part ways with my employer under the best of terms. I will tell you that I worked for Grisgin Aviakor, but you'll forgive me if I don't want to go into detail. Keeping all this machinery running can't be cheap. How can you afford all this? Freelance? At the risk of sounding immodest, I've commodified myself rather well. There are always corporations in need of design constellations. You'd be surprised on how lucrative such work can be. And there's always other work that I can turn to in a pinch. You said that you did other work besides consulting? Care to tell me what kind? He pauses, and for a second something flashes in his eye. Koshai lowers his body into a crouch. What a personal question, wouldn't you say? Maybe, but then we're having a personal conversation. Indeed we are. But even in personal conversations, certain topics can be off limits. Truth to be told, I don't feel especially comfortable discussing my site work with relative strangers. Suffice to say that my freelance activities often fall on the illicit end of the spectrum. Tell you what, I'm just gonna guess. You're a Shadowrunner, aren't you? He gives you a shallow nod. I dislike the term, but yes, I run the shadows. What gave me away? His drone isn't one thing, but also the feeling. The feeling of premonition. Nothing in particular, just the feeling I got. He shrugs. Interesting. Well, your intonation is correct, as I said. Now I'm going to use mine. You're a Shadowrunner as well. But you're new to the profession. Am I correct? Yes. On all accounts. On all counts. I thought it was on all accounts normally, the expression. Koshai shuffles forward, its glowing red eyes low to the ground. Light glints off the metal of its armored chassis. Racter runs a hand over the drone's killing legs, caressing the sculpted metal with his fingertips. I earn my living in the shadows. I suspect that everyone on this boat does. If we were suited for a more pedestrian line of work, we wouldn't be in Hayoi. At the risk of sounding modest, Koshai's aptitude for butchery is quite impressive. He earns me all that I need and more. Seems like everybody on this boat runs the shadows. Why not pool our resources and work together? He purses his lip, considering. A compelling offer. I'm doing quite well on my own, but I must admit that there are certain jobs for which I am unsuited. Magic eludes me, and I am not a decker. Well, we have both. My strength comes from material objects in the real world, solid things with mass and heft. Things that I cannot build and operate. We have both that. Sadly, a great many of clients are only interested in teams that display a mastery over the intangible. This group of yours, do you have people who can cover those bases? If so, then perhaps we can help each other out. Yes, we have a shaman and a decker, both competent in their jobs. In that case, I will accept your offer on a professional basis. We'll do a few runs together and see how we get on. If our association bears fruit, it will continue. If not, I will bid you my farewell and go back to working alone. How does that then sound? Welcome aboard. Very good. Excellent. When you receive a job, you know where to find me. My skills and resources are at your disposal. And with that, I'm afraid I must bid you good day. I still have work to do down here. This lag assembly won't clean itself. I'll be in touch. Looking forward to working with you. And I with you. And we have now our new guy. And as we also can level him up, let's show you what I've done with the others. In general, for Gobbet, I want to go the spiritualist way. This destroys the spirit. This does AP damage on top of HP damage for her poison fog spell. This creates a barrier. This is an increased haste spell that increases both the haste on the caster, on the one she casts on, plus giving her a bonus to accuracy. This we can do in other forms. This is decent because this doesn't really interest me. Perhaps a little. I'm unsure about these two ones. But this destroys the spirit. This takes over a spirit. That, to me, is much better. Moreover, you can control 2 spirits if you get spirit control 5. She already gained 1 spirit control this level. I am sure she's going to get to rank 5. So, stealing a spirit is, in my eyes, better than destroying a spirit. This has spirits from shrines, so from locations, lasts 1 round longer. This increases her acid fog not to only do HP damage, but also AP damage. A barrier, barriers are good, but she's going to have barriers from herself, so I don't think I need yet another. This gives her a unique spirit fetish. Nice. This makes her be able to consume a spirit for 20 HP gain for Gobbet, as well as she gains some AP. That is a very good heal in a pinch, and I find that ability quite good. So more or less I'm thinking, but this ability, oh sorry, I'm running ahead of myself. This is, spirit never breaks away in the first 2 rounds after summoning them. The first 2 rounds are not the problem, and if this is a clear cutoff, and that's something I do not know, if it's a clear cutoff, like it has, I don't know, 7% for the first round and 20% for the second round, then it's like, and then it cuts off and just continues, so the third round is still no 35% chance to break away, then it doesn't really matter, because the first 2 rounds, they don't tend to break away. So I thought it was better to give her increase in SMG. I don't think she's going to use that a lot, but if this is a clear cutoff thing, then it's not good. If it does reset it, that at the third round it would become just as low as the first round normally is, then I should have chosen this. But seeing I don't know that, I went with this. I should have checked this in action, but well, we were making episodes before we can see the action. This may have been a wrong choice, but I was not sure. This gives her a Tara Blaster. More or less a program that does damage, but also sticks the programs to the ground for 1 round. I don't really care for that. This does, well, she can now shoot a mine that we can be triggered at will. Nice. A lot of accuracy for her whole round movement. I don't like that. Espionage. When we mark a target, their armor is also reduced by 1. I'm going to go for this. This makes her move faster when she's trying to, well, sneak in the matrix, so before the alarms have gone off. That seems very good to me, even if this is also pretty good, stripping armor. Yes, I hate it. When somebody is stunned, I'd rather have them be jolt awake with 1 HP than being stunned because they are out of cover and all that. And this I don't really like. This can stun somebody. Napalm charges extra HP damage. I think I rather want her physical body to be reduced when she's in the Matrix so that I don't have to fear that if we are... And of course this indicates that we're going to have combat while she's in the Matrix and have combat with life, that if she takes some damage that she doesn't get, well... her meat space body gets destroyed and that we don't need to focus our healing on her immediately. Crowd control. We are almost going to completely go the crowd control way. This is all non-lethal type of takedown. These are all lethal, but this is extra damage. This is 2 HP gone. And imbalancing the target make it easier to hit. This deactivates 1 person. This is just a little bit of extra damage that may not take it down. The rest, well, 99% hit chance on a person less than 25 HP is kind of good, but I don't know. Subdue could be also a really good ability. We will see how this works. But yeah, down the line, I'm thinking I'm going crowd control. Going mainly for Matrix stuff down her into the espionage side. For her remaining into the spiritualist side. But, well, for those two, the first level, I took the other road. We'll update Racter off screen again. Let's not look at this too long. We have already, well, wasted some time, so to speak. So a recap of the quests will come in the next episode. I say thank you for watching, and remember, great peril yields great beauty.